Thank you, Attorney Junquil, for becoming an expert on our code as quickly as possible.
Time moves on.
We're going to go ahead and start on the question at hand was on the Biscayne Park Foundation as to...
Sure. So the bylaws of the Biscayne Park Foundation is as follows. I'm sorry, I started using the iPad again, so things get a little weird on me here every once in a while. All right, just got it back up. So, in order to appoint somebody, and the qualifications for membership to the board of directors, you have 3 to 5. And the way that they're appointed is that the village commission needs to nominate and then appoint. So I know you have many people before you. There's several different ways to handle the nomination portion. One is, I believe, the simplest way is make a motion to accept all of them as nominated since they submitted applications, and then what you can do is a ballot to select your other 2. I believe there's 2 vacancies?
There's 2 vacancies.
There's 2 vacancies. And then what you do from there is you submit your ballots to fill the 2 vacancies. Now, I understand there's numerous people that put in. One recommendation of the Biscayne Park Foundation is they can establish an advisory board. One recommendation is that even if you don't select somebody, that the board appoint an advisory board to at least assist. Now, they're not going to be voting members. They're not going to be able to make the final decision of the actual Biscayne Park Foundation, but at least they'll be able to be involved in one way. So that's my recommendation for proceeding forward with appointing the foundation members.
Is there consensus among the board members that we accept, and let me just make a comment that right now the applicants are, so please cross out Judith Gerstein, she withdrew her application. So it's Russell Ely, David Gale, Laura Graves, Fred Jonas, Nicole Susi, and Barbara Watts. Is there an agreement or consensus that we will go forward and accept all of these 6 individuals as a nomination?
You're going to need a motion for that.
Is there a motion to accept all the 6 members as nominations to the Biscayne Park Foundation?
I make a motion to nominate all 6 applicants for consideration.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Nay. None, sorry, not nay. All right, so the next portion of this is the vote, so if everybody would go ahead and vote their list for folks, and we'll give that to the clerk.
And once again, for benefit of the public, this is not a secret ballot. It'll be read off at the end by the clerk as she tallies the votes, and these ballots are available for public inspection.
And to confirm, we're voting for, there's
2.
There's no alternate or anything like that?
No, there's no alternate, there are no alternates on the board. So you're just voting for 2.
Madam Mayor, so it says between 3 and 5, and we have 2 now?
We have 3 now.
We have 3 currently.
Ah,
We thought 1 had left, but 1 has not yet.
oh, 1 has not left, so this is, okay, so we, 2, okay.
2. Close?
Oh, I got to put my name on it anyway.
Yes.
Oh,
Sure, read them anyway, but
somebody's going to read my answer.
the test.
What if the great Karnak says?
Okay, would you like me to read the individuals who did make the board?
Yes, but I'd first like to thank all the board members for applying. So thank you very much, and there are plenty of other boards as well, so please don't be discouraged if you weren't selected for this one at this moment. And also, as the foundation said, they're welcoming everybody who'd like to help, so I'm sure they will work with the members that were not selected. Thank you.
Okay, first, with a total of 4 votes would be Laura Graves. A total of 3 votes for David Goel. Would you like me to read off the ballots themselves with each name?
Yes, please.
Okay. Harvey Bilt, Commissioner Bilt, voted for David Goel and Laura Graves. Mayor Tracy Trutman voted for David Goel and Laura Graves. Commissioner Johnson Sardella voted for David Goel and Laura Graves. Vice Mayor Rox Ross voted for Fred Jonas and Nicole Susi. Commissioner Tudor voted for Laura Graves and Barbara Watts.
Thank you. Okay, we're on for, just for the rest of the members that were not selected, I'm sure they'll work with the board, so please reach out to the board members that know they can use your help.
If I could ask the village staff to, because the foundation members didn't actually even get the applications, so if I could ask village staff to coordinate with the foundation so that they can reach out to all, give them all of the applications so that they can reach out to the balance. And,
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to old business. This is for 11A. Commissioner Tudor, this is your item.
Yeah, this is the closed pod system. I brought up the last commission meeting, and I think the general consensus from the commission was they wanted to have the village attorney review the agreement that the village would sign with the Florida Department of Health to see if there were any legal concerns with that contract. So I'd like to ask the village attorney.
I had no legal concerns with the contract. It's pretty standard as far as intergovernmental contracts go.
I'm just going to go around from the other side this time. Commissioner Johnson Sardella, do you have any comments on that?
I don't think I have anything further from what I discussed at the last meeting, and it really was weighing on what our attorney will come back with as far as the agreement.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
I expressed what the concerns were last go-around. I think once the attorney has signed off on it, I think it'll be a very beneficial thing to have here in the village, and I thank Commissioner Tudor for bringing it to us and persevering.
Commissioner Bilt?
No concerns at all.
My only question had to do with dispensing, and if the only thing I would like us to consider is working with our police force, because after speaking to several first responders, they told me point blank they won't be here. So even though the residents of the village, no matter what, they're going to be where they have to go. So I'd just like to make sure our police, who we know will be here, will be able to do that dispensing. Or
We'll
staff.
check that out, definitely.
Yeah, okay. Other than that, I'm very happy that you brought this item forward. Thank you, sir.
And just on a side note, there's actual, the state of Florida has training on the closed pod system that I've actually sent information to the village manager, so that once we get to that stage, we may want to send whoever we may want to have, some of the village staff to that training.
Thank you. Okay, so then is there a motion?
I make a motion to accept Resolution 2018-03 and enter into an agreement with the Florida Department of Health to establish Biscayne Park as a closed pod.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? 11B is Vice Mayor Ross's.
Coming back with the Pelican Harbor Seabird Station after not being successful with monetary support for lack of a supermajority, I thought one way that we could help them possibly is to offer an item for their silent auction which would be the rental, waiving the rental for the log cabin so that they could have a special event or well, they would silent auction a special event or corporate event that could take place here. And the fees for that would ordinarily be up to $500 on the weekend and $350 on the weekday. I thought this was a way that we could help them without having any serious impact on our budget, so I offer it for your approval, and I prepared a certificate if you should so agree to include this as an auction item for Pelican Harbor's gala later this month.
I just have a quick question for you. You said it was $500, and on the certificate it says different amounts. I'm just trying to... Is it $500 per hour?
So for 3 hours, it would be on the weekend. That's why the value is between $1,050
So that's per hour,
and
okay.
$1,500.
Just want to clear.
Depending on what day. And, you know, if it just doesn't work on a weekend because we don't want to have staff here, then that's, we could limit. It's all contingent on our rental fees and our regular standard rental agreements, so we could limit when it's going to happen.
Thank you. We'll go this way. Commissioner Tudor?
I know we had some issues with the last time about the donation, but I think that this is a nice alternative, so I would be in support of it.
Commissioner Bill?
Mr. Attorney, would it be considered a donation or not?
For purposes of Pelican Harbor, I don't know if that would be considered a donation. As far as for us, are you referring to like tax purposes or?
We use supermajority, that's the only difference.
What you are doing is you are donating an in-kind service. You're donating the time, you're donating staff time, so I do believe this would be a donation, yes.
Okay, I guess my only thought would be is, since it's going to be auctioned off, we do have the right of refusal, depending on who the organization is.
Commissioner Johnson-Sedona?
I'm fine with that. I agree with Commissioner Tudor that this is a nice compromise. I apologize. My only question is, I guess, and I don't know if Commissioner Bilt just touched on this, I'm just, usually when someone comes in front of us asking for a waiver or something like that, we're assessing something. Since this is being auctioned off and we don't necessarily know what the event may be or whatever, is there a way for us to make sure it's something that we're okay with, you know, it is our building and things like that. That would be my only issue, but I'm fine with it. I just want to know whether or not there's something to trigger if, let's say, it's someone's planning to do something that's over the top. It probably won't happen, but I'm just erring on the side of caution with it.
Yeah, I have this same concern, and that is that this is our log cabin, and we do need to take care of it, so I just want to make sure we're not auctioning off for something that we would normally never rent it for. So if we would normally not rent it for an event that had, I don't know, and there'd be, you know, a max number of people, there have to be some, to me, there just has to be some guidelines that it follows within our parameters so that it keeps the facility safe. That would be my concern, and that we have right of refusal if there's a problem.
I would recommend, Mike. Madam Mayor, I would recommend that if staff has rules for rental, like for instance, you don't want someone to put a hot tub in here, I understand.
Like these that are attached to the agenda?
Right.
Yes.
In the backup?
And Vice Mayor Ross has them. So.
Yeah, that would be my recommendation, subject to all rules that may be imposed by the Village of Biscayne Park. So that way you're not having someone with a hot tub and a wet bar in the middle of the
Okay. And as far as the weekend issue as well, that is the other concern of staff time.
Well, this is part of that donation, just going back to that. That's why it is, because now you might have to throw in overtime or adjust schedules, and that's part of it.
Okay, so I just want to ask the village manager on that piece regarding staff time for weekends and that kind of thing. Is there a problem with that, or?
I will personally volunteer my time to help make this happen.
And I will as well. I just want to make clear. Thank you very much. Okay, with that, I have no objection either.
Just to clarify, the certificate itself says that it's subject to standard rental contract terms that apply, and then we have the rental contract itself, and on the back of the rental contract, it has the parameters. It's supposed to be for a meeting, a seminar, event, or social gathering, the number of people, you know, it has all of these details set out, so we don't have to pull them out of the air. They're standard.
Perfect. All right, so is there a motion? Vice Mayor?
I make a motion that we approve a donation for the Pelican Harbor Seabird Station silent auction, which would be a certificate waiving the rental to Village Log Cabin for one event.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Thank you for bringing that item forward.
Thank you.
Okay, we're on new business, which is Commissioner Tudor, Emergency Notification System.
Yes. As we're all well aware, we've had several residents come up to us, especially after Hurricane Irma, concerned about the lack of communication on important issues. I know personally there were some issues regarding boiled water alerts that, you know, I found out after the fact, given what was going on. Also, we've had some residents also talk about the lack of communication, not just for emergency events, but also going out for other notifications that they might want to receive. So with that said, I started researching emergency or mass notification systems that are utilized by municipalities and also private companies. I identified two that are the most prominent. One is Nixle, which is used by Miami Shores, actually. Nixle also has a larger version, Everbridge, which I believe is used by the state of Florida. Also, the other one that seems to be a common competitor to Nixle was Swift 911. So I attached all the backup on those two systems. What I'm asking for tonight is that we recommend that the village administration review the platforms identified in this item, and then come back with a recommendation to the commission on the system to utilize.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to go from the other end. Commissioner Johnson-Sodelo.
This is a good item to have here, and I agree with Commissioner Tudor that residents have been voicing their concern and complaints about how information gets out, not only in an emergency situation, but general information regarding the community. At first glance, I guess my only thoughts are, is whether this is text, email, web messaging. I know we've discussed a lot with how much people in our community use computers and things like that. But if this is something that we're going to have staff look into and maybe figure out what's the best platform for us, I would agree with that, because I think we need to start having that conversation and come to a resolution of how we're going to get information out to our residents. So I'm for that.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
I had hoped that by now we would have had that post-Irma, what went wrong and what went right kind of workshop. And I think we still need to pick a new day for that, because
we do,
had
yes.
chosen wasn't working out. This certainly should be part of that discussion, but we have this tendency to rely on electronics and things that are powered, and as we saw, when the cell towers go down or when the power goes out, that cell phone is not as useful as we've grown accustomed to. So we also need to come up with other ways to reach out to people, or to adjust people's expectations of what kind of messages we can push out for them, and where they have to come to us to get information. All that needs to be part of the discussion, but I could see the usefulness of having an Excel or some similar messaging system for a number of different emergencies, not necessarily in the event of a storm. And sure, this should all be what we're talking about when we talk about how we're going to do better in the next storm.
Thank you. I absolutely support this item. I do believe that one of the challenges in the village, however, is getting people to sign up. We have an e-blast, and we have, what, 400 out of 3,000? Something like that, maybe 600 between there. And so we still need to do a better job of getting people registered. So the only codicil I have is to make sure that we actually get people to use that. I do think they tend to use that now more than email. So I think that's a good thing. But I do think we need to find a way and a mechanism, if we can move forward with this, to get people registered large enough in numbers. I also would like the police force to be able to use this when they want to send out notifications and things like that. Did you want to make comments? So go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Both of the systems actually, because I talked to both the vendors and actually went through a demo on both systems. They actually have a feature that's, I mean, it's nice for emergency situations, like I said. You get weather updates. What's nice about this is residents opt in, and it hits across multiple platforms: email, social media, text messaging, voice calls. But one of the features that I liked about it was the fact, and actually, on a side note, I'm actually signed up to get alerts on Nixle for Miami Shores.
Right.
So whenever there's a police situation, they can enter into the system, put in a notification, and it'll go out. So if there's a street closure because they're putting up a perimeter, that information goes out. Even if there's a situation where, let's say, we had, Lord forbid, a home invasion, or, the police could send out a notification and asking residents that if they have information, they can respond back. So it actually has the capability where a resident, if they see somebody and say, yeah, I saw this person, they can actually respond to that notification from the police, and they can do it anonymously if they want to. So it has that capability to be a little bit of a back and forth.
So that might be nice also for the hurricane if you have a broken water pipe or
yeah,
or things like that, where it might take days for us to figure out something that's going on. So,
and one of the things we found out during Irma as well, as far as communication goes, is that our cell phones, although they were intermittent, they did work. Even though we were without power, I know the police chief and I would sit in our cars and charge our phones long enough to get at least a charge to keep going through. And so there are other ways that they can make this
cooling
really
center,
valuable.
charging center is your car.
Any port in a storm.
Absolutely. So you're also in support of this that I made?
Yes,
okay.
very much.
So with that, is there a motion to go ahead and move forward to have the staff? Actually, I'm going to let you make the motion. Go ahead.
Make a motion that we have the village administration come back to this commission with a recommendation on which system to implement.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, replacement for, now we're on item 13, replacement for placement of item on next meeting's agenda. Anybody at this time? Okay.
Mayor, I have one item for next agenda, and that will be, we'll need to set the sanitation rate. We just received the letter from Waste Pro today, so on the next agenda, we'll be looking to do that.
Did they give us a new rate?
I'm sorry?
Did they give us a new rate?
Yeah, it's based on the CPI, and they did, it's gone up a couple of dollars, I believe. Let's see here. I just received it today, and I haven't had a chance to review it thoroughly, but the new rate, effective October 1st, would be $26.84. And so that's currently, right. So in 2017, our sanitation rate was $2.36, and this would take it up to $2.41. So.
Madam Mayor, if I may
Yes.
just speak for a second. This came up last year, and our accountant did say it's an enterprise fund, so we can in fact have a balance on that. So if we were to increase it by $50 instead of $10 or whatever, we can build up so we have a little bit of a nest egg in case we want to buy a truck, we need something more for our public works people to do sanitation work, so we have money available for it.
This might become an item for next month's
Yeah,
agenda.
that's what I'm saying, it's next month's agenda. What I'm saying is, so everybody just give it a little bit of thought. We still are charging, the show's charges, I believe, $770, and we're going to be charging for something, $450,
And-
$390. So
Right, and the other comment I wanted to make was I wanted to see if we can follow up with them regarding some of the promises they made regarding looking into changing our,
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Because we talked to them about several items, and I haven't heard back. I don't know if you have either.
I mentioned that today when I received this email. It's like we need to follow up on those, so.
And I believe one of the things that's on their contract is people that have side yard pickup is also, they're all supposed to have side yard recycles, and we've never actually implemented that.
We've never had side yard recycles. Recycling, I believe, has always been at curb. We make a few exceptions for that, for people who are elderly or ill.
What I'm saying, but the contract does say if you have side yard, and we've just never implemented, we just never bothered doing it. So they need to take that into consideration.
I'll have to double check that one, because I know when we were implementing the sanitation transition, I was always told, and I don't recall, I read the contract then, but I was always told that recycling was agreed, that would be curbside only.
So, I'm sorry, Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Just on that issue of setting the sanitation fee, we can't just plug in a number and say we're going to charge another $40 a household. We have to follow a methodology. We have to come up with a budget for the sanitation, and then that gets parceled out to all of the users. I don't know that we could just charge a fee for something we might possibly do in the future without a plan in place.
I'd just like to make sure that we all, and we're happy to have a few comments on it, but I'd like to make sure we take this up in next meeting as part of that agenda item. Okay, anybody else? Vice Mayor? I'm sorry, Commissioner Johnson? Okay. So now we're into reports. Village Attorney? Did you have anything for the attorney updates?
I have no report.
Thank you. Village Manager, your report?
Yes. Just on the CAFR, just an update, we are continuing to move ahead with that. We're going to have our auditors into the Village Hall, going through some of our records and so forth that we'll be providing to them. So we'll be working closely with them over the next, I believe, next couple of weeks, and that should happen. We're trying to get prepared for, to get it completed this month so that we can get it to the state. And finance, we're continuing to move our banking accounts over from City National to FCB. That's going along. We're taking our time doing that slowly, but it's working very smoothly so far. And as you can tell from the weekly managers reports, code has been increasing. Code Officer Caserta, Code Officer Pinero are doing an excellent job. And I'm not just saying that because Code Officer Caserta is here.
I'll pay you later.
So, absolutely. And so that's going very well, though, and we're pleased. There's still more to do, a great deal more to do, but at least the back end of that now is now functioning so that we can move forward. And we'll start to see more cases going to the Code Compliance Board now. Police Department, again, tickets are up. Crime is low. The police chief is unfortunately out sick tonight, but that's all going well. Parks and Rec, we were really proud of the egg hunt event, and they did a great job on that, as well as our volunteers, and Dan and Rosemary, who jumped in and helped as well.
I just want to say thank you really quickly to Isa, to Rosemary, to Dan, for all the work that was done and all the staff. It was just a tremendous event for those who attended. It was, I've never seen so many eggs go so quickly in my life. 2 minutes, they were done. The whole entire park was filled. It was awesome.
One thing at the rec center, too, that I know has been coming up is we found a place to repair the sunshade at the tot lot. So that has been repaired. We got it done for $200. And so that should be coming up in the next week or so, as soon as we can get the other company out to reinstall it. that will be going back up. So the tot lot will have its shade back.
Wonderful, and thank you for that order of magnitude savings.
No problem. That was ISA and, you know, a few other people that figured that one out. So they get full credit for that. Public Works has planted 5 oak trees here in the median on 114th. They also picked up a bunch of additional plants that we'll be using this Saturday with our Parks and Parkway planting. That's also our Arbor Day event. And so with that, we're going to go for our Tree City certification again this year. And so that's all falling into place. Additionally, the Public Works guys have built the trash enclosure at the rec center. And so that is finally done. And so we're delighted about that. Administratively, we're collecting, you know, applications for village attorney and village clerk as well. And so those are providing the, you know, the usual challenges, but we're getting through it. And other than that, I think it's, you know, pretty good. Any questions?
Nope, guess not. Board committee meeting reports, are there any? Okay. Commissioner comments, any further? Okay.
But yeah, both Christian and I have been working with Miami-Dade Public Works to see what we can do about our streets. They said there are a couple of things they will do to help us, putting up some other signs. We've also been working with FDOT to see about what we can do with crosswalks on 6th Avenue. It's an uphill battle. Their attitude seems to be, since nobody's crossing, you don't need crosswalks. It's about nobody crosses because there aren't any crosswalks. So it's which came first, the chicken or the egg. However, both the city and the state have gone with a green outlook where pedestrians and bicyclists have rights to the road as much as traffic does. And we may be able to do something with that.
I mean, I know we've talked about this. My comment is I also spoke to Dave Caserta actually today, and he's also meeting with FDOT regarding trying to get funding, and he's also looking for federal funding, state funding, county monies, everything we can do to try and find a way to salvage our $915,000 ask. And so he's working very hard to see what he can do on that, and I did mention him to reach out to you, because I know since he's meeting with the head of FDOT, that might be helpful, and to help you with the traffic calling issues. Okay? All right, any other comments?
Yeah, with all of these conversations with FDOT, I know I mentioned to the manager a couple months ago that we're missing probably half the lights on 6th Avenue, which is the state road, and we have these little metal boxes that sit in the swale, which...
With the cones.
With the cones on them. I think that it's a huge hazard for people who are walking at night in the dark without enough light. And so, since everyone's having conversations with FDOT, can we please ask for them to replace those lights?
I have asked that. I've actually just recently got an answer from FDOT. Those light poles apparently are being specially made. They will be replaced within a year is what FDOT's saying. So while we are having conversations with FDOT, we can see if we can get that expedited, because we do need, there's I think 14 that are missing. And so 6th Avenue is certainly dark, and so that is something that we need to do. But I have followed up with FDOT on that, and that's the latest answer I've received.
And you might want to also, we can work with Addie's on some of the lights that are still out. There's still some out lights. I think most of them have been done, but some of the lights are still out with FPL as well. So
absolutely,
we can possibly work with Caesar and stuff to maybe check those and have those put on the list.
And we are doing that as well. There's also, we've had complaints from certain residents about different light poles that are at varying angles post-Irma. And so we're trying to get all of that. I've been in touch with Addie's regarding that.
I must tell you, during my trip, I went all the way through around Florida, and and there were crews still out working all over the place, replacing poles, righting poles. It's just everywhere. In every city that I went through. It's just a Florida state-wide problem right now. Thank you. Any other comments? None? Okay, announcements. Madam Clerk.
Mayor, I'll take this one. I didn't
Yeah.
talk to the clerk about this one earlier,
Oh,
so.
surprise.
Announcements. Monday, code compliance on April 9th. Monday, April 9th, Biscayne Park Foundation will be meeting. Wednesday, Public Art Advisory Board on April 11th. Monday, Planning and Zoning Board, April 16th. Thursday, Parks and Parkway on April 19th. Sunday, we'll be having an Earth Day celebration on April 22nd, and a reminder, too, that we do have the Parks and Parkways event this weekend where we'll be planting, and we do need any volunteers that we can get for that. So we'd be, delighted to have anyone and everyone that can help plant a plant there to help us. And I think that's it.
Okay, you want to announce our next commissioner meeting will be on Tuesday, May 1st, 2018 at 7 p.m. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.